Time to leave your worries outside and join us here in the treehouse. I'm Dan O'Malley, joined by Trey Trenholm and our very special friend and today's guest, the rock and roll attorney, Everett Newton. Hello, Everett.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good to hear from you. And well, I don't see you right now, but it's good to hear your sweet voice.
Well, I don't know about the sweet part.
I'm glad to have you in the treehouse.
Good to be here, as always.
It's been a minute. So in the last episode, Everett, we had our friend Raj Sharma on, and I'm still in town, by the way. So you and I still need to go grab sushi. I have not forgotten. But I was telling Raj and Trey a few of the things I have not missed about living stateside. There are a number of things I do miss. Don't get me wrong. You know, only having to go to one grocery store to get everything on my list. And a few other things. But I forgot there were a couple of things I have not missed about stateside living, or really, I guess, North Texas specific living. And one of them is construction / landscaping crews making ungodly amounts of noise at 7:30 in the morning. I don't have that in my house at St. Thomas.
No, you have chickens crowing starting at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, but we have storm windows that muffle out a lot of those chicken noises.
I think
Trey, when you stayed at our house a few months ago, did any chicken ever wake you up? Did any rooster crow ever rustle you from your slumber?
No. I can't say specifically, but
no, it did not.
There is okay, but Dan, you will. Let me ask you this question, Dan. Do you tend? Have you been sleeping a little bit later since you've been stateside?
Yes, but only because
I think that's because there's some subconscious thing where you start hearing chickens or roosters crowing that you get up.
It is not a chicken related. It is not a chicken related thing at all, Mr. Trenholm. In fact, what it is, it's twofold. Number one, the blackout curtains we have at our Airbnb in Dallas right now are actually pretty good compared to the curtains I've got in St. Thomas. So much sunlight pours in St. Thomas very early, by the way. My circadian stuff wakes me up.
Drawback of living in paradise is, that sun comes over the water and floods your bedroom window.
Yeah, it's a real bitch,
But also, you don't hear roosters crowing.
Well, I don't hear them anyway. The other reason I think it's because I'm sleeping a little bit later here is because I think I'm getting the real melatonin here versus the island melatonin. It's more of a question mark as far as the dosage. Like, it says 5 milligrams, but it might be more like 1. Whereas like the 5 milligrams I got at CVS or Walgreens the other day here feels more like a 10. I mean, it's like there have been a couple of times I've had I think it was yesterday morning, I had the sleep crud in my eyes so bad I had to peel them open on my left eyelid.
Yeah, that counterfeit melatonin's no joke.
And that it's a somewhat of a concern living, on an island. Is some of the stuff you get, you wonder, okay, how's the efficacy of some of these medicines, especially because the melatonin that I've been buying lately. So I've been getting most of my over-the-counter medicines from Kmart. And it's hard to argue with the price. I mean, I don't know if it's a blue light special every day, but my melatonin at there's 2 Kmarts on St. Thomas. The one I go to, the melatonin costs like $4.
That's probably because it's there's a Kmart warehouse somewhere in the stateside because they've all closed here. But, I mean, your melatonin might be 10 years old, but yeah, it's cheap.
Or it may not even be melatonin.
I don't know what it is, but I know that it does help a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be as strong as the Texas melatonin.
So you're going to pack a separate suitcase filled with nothing but melatonin to take back with you?
I've actually considered it. Yeah, I've actually considered it greatly. There are some things we are that we're planning on taking back with us, type of a situation. And if certain things are cheaper here, then yeah, we're gonna kind of stuff a suitcase a little bit.
So that's a no.
What do you mean that's a no?
Well, you say, well, I'm going to try it. Well, it sounded very wishy-washy.
Well, I haven't started shopping yet for the return trip. We still don't go back for another couple of weeks, so I'm not. It's not front of mind just yet.
I think there's a 0 chance that you go back to St. Thomas with a suitcase full of melatonin. Trey?
A suitcase full, no, but hell, if nothing else, Dan, I have some. I'll give you to take back because I can't take it. So
you can't take melatonin?
It doesn't work on me. In fact, it keeps me up. It's the most frustrating thing ever.
Is this what happens when you stop drinking? It's like certain things that are supposed to have one reaction have the opposite or something?
Melatonin has never worked on me. And melatonin and what was the original sleeping pill that made everyone nuts?
GHB.
No, Ambien. Ambien doesn't work on me either. And so it just leaves me in this zombie-like state where I can't sleep and just laying there. It sucks. Trust me. I've flying from Dallas to London, and they're especially going there. I remember Ambien and alcohol, and I still couldn't sleep. But man, I was a drunk mess.
Is Ambien still a thing? Because I haven't heard I've not heard any recent Ambien stories in years. And they used to be, what was it? It was the mid 2000s. Ambien was like, everyone was trying Ambien. If anyone had any problems sleeping, boom, just go take some Ambien. The problem with it was you might be asleep, but then at some point you would quasi wake up and then do stuff in the middle of the night that you didn't remember because your conscious self was asleep.
Yeah, I had a client in a DWI case one time who got up in the middle of the night, left her husband behind, still in her panties, got in her car, and started driving down 30 and got pulled over.
What was the
I feel like I've heard way worse.
Well, and then she pulled out an axe and murdered several people.
All right, that would be bad.
Okay.
Did you get her off of that ticket?
No, it was a DWI, and she was clearly intoxicated, and yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard to argue that case in court when they show the video and she's not wearing any pants.
Yeah, and acting a little bit off, but I mean, I have no doubt of her story. Unfortunately, it's not a legal defense.
Because at that point, it still is driving under the influence. Speaking of which, quick question, Everett, for you as the rock and roll attorney. Is there really a difference between DWI and DUI? Because I hear some people will say, it's like, obviously DWI would be for alcohol, DUI would be something else. Is there really a difference, or is it just a matter of people just using the two and interchanging them?
Well, it's a good question. And the answer is it depends. That's the short answer. The long answer is what we call DWI, some other states refer to as DUI. But to make it more confusing, we also have the offense of DUI, which in Texas is if you are under the age of 21 and you are found to have a detectable amount of alcohol in your system. It's a Class C misdemeanor. And the reason for that law is if you're under 21, you're not supposed to drink at all. So if you're drinking at all and driving, that's an offense. Whereas if you're over 21 in Texas, you can drink, you just can't drink to the point of intoxication. So it's not automatically offense to have had something to drink and then drive, but again, only if you're intoxicated. So we have DUIs, which are different from DUIs in other states. We have DWIs, which are typically analogous to DUIs in other states.
So
I know
once
that's fascinating stuff, but
I ask because I'm genuinely curious, and that's one of the things that makes certain laws difficult to understand, is because different states have different versions of what are supposed to be same or similar laws, and that adds to the confusion.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
So Everett, if they suspected, let's say you were taking a prescription medication or something, and pulled you over because they thought you were driving erratically, would that fall under DWI, or would they charge you with a DUI?
Well, that would be a DWI. You can
Okay.
only get a DUI in Texas if you're under 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and have a detectable amount of alcohol in your system. So yeah, any offense that involves impairment is going to be a DWI irrespective. So if you're under 21 and the police are alleging not only that you had a detectable amount of alcohol, but that you were in fact at the next level, i.e. intoxicated, they would then charge you with DWI as they would someone over 21 who's alleged to be intoxicated.
I, for one, still feel, I don't want to say, blessed, because that seems weird to put on the Lord. Fortunate, lucky, stupid as well to have never been popped for a DWI, because I've like most people that have had any amount of alcohol in their lives, at some point, you've driven and you shouldn't have. And in my case, I've done it a handful of times where I shouldn't have, where I'm, I'm one-eyeing it down 75, and I don't know what the correlation would be because I didn't have a breathalyzer in front of me, but the level of drunkenness that I remember a couple of times where I should not have been driving was how many lanes I'm trying to stay in the middle of. So like at the time, let's go back to early 2000s, going south on 75 from Forest Lane, get on the highway at Forest Lane, going south on 75 towards downtown Dallas. And there was already, I think, 4 lanes at that time on 75. But the other problem was I saw 8 lanes. So I'm trying to stay in like the middle 2. So that's how I was able to gauge, okay, this is how bad I am, because there's supposed to be 4 lanes, but I'm now seeing 8. So I don't know if that meant I was 2 over or, whatever it was, because again, I didn't have a breathalyzer, but obviously that's bad.
So in your drunken state, they finally finished 75?
That's how drunk I was, Trey.
You're listening to The Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
This segment of the Treehouse is brought to you by Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. You know what makes Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration so great? Well, number 1, you get a free roof inspection. Number 2, they're really good at what they do. And number 3, let's say the absolute worst thing happens. You get a piece of hail so large, it goes straight through your roof and right into your bathroom. It's like a big meteor, just crashes right through the whole damn thing and destroys your roof all the way down into your bathroom. Your bathroom is screwed up as well. Well, what Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration will do is not only fix your roof, they'll also redo the bathroom. That's the restoration part of their business. Most roofing companies, they'll fix the roof and then they're gone. Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration will take care of your stuff from the roof all the way down if that damage goes below the roof into your home. Pretty cool deal. Give them a call for your free roof inspection, 833-COOK-DFW. That's 833-COOK-DFW, or the website cookdfw.com. The other thing, Everett, that in addition to construction crews and lawn crews that I, at like 7:30 in the morning, that I did not miss about, living in Dallas, living in North Texas in general. The other thing I have not missed is the goddamn heat.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been hot in Texas before. I lived in Texas for 30 years, over 30 years, and it really, really is a thing where if you go away from a place, even for a little while, and you come back, you have I feel like I've adjusted a little bit, so to my new climate. So coming back to a hot Texas summer, it really does feel a little bit hotter because I'm not as used to it as I used to be. I feel like I'm melting when I go outside.
Well, yeah, I mean, a heat wave in the islands is what, in the 90s?
Yeah, low 90s. Like, whew, it's hot. It's 92. And the heat index might get on a really bad day during a really bad heat wave. It did like a month or so ago. The heat index was like 100. But you still have a trade wind to cool things off. It still feels fine in the shade. In Texas right now, when the high is 103, the heat index is 1,000, and you can try to, hide in the shade a little bit, but it's still hot in the shade.
It's oppressive.
Yes, it is an oppressive heat. So much so that I even learned what the heat dome is this year. And I don't think I'd ever heard of the heat dome. I don't know if that had always existed in meteorology, and they just never really told us, viewers about it or listeners about it, as far as the weather guys on TV, whether it's, Delkus or Henry or Andrews or whatever. I don't remember hearing about a heat dome until like a few weeks ago.
What is a heat dome?
Thank you. I'm glad you asked. A heat dome occurs when stationary high pressure with warm air combines with warmer than usual air in the Gulf of Mexico and heat from the sun that is nearly directly overhead. That's according to Texas State climatologist John Nielsen Gammon. He goes on to say, by the time we get into the middle of summer, it's hard to get the hot air aloft. If it's going to happen, this is the time of year it will. He also said July and August don't have as much sunlight because the sun is retreating from the summer solstice.
Why can't we get the heat aloft? Heat rises.
I don't understand that either. I guess it's because hang on, the heat from the sun and combines with warmer air. Hang on, I'm sciencing. By the time we get to the middle of summer, it's hard to get the hot air aloft. I guess because it's so hot, it doesn't actually go anywhere.
Yeah, there's no colder air that's pushing it up.
Yeah, or perhaps it's just hot all the way to purple.
Could be.
It just doesn't matter. It's like like space is is I don't know what the exact temperature of space is, but it's very, very cold. So basically, it all the way up to where the billionaires fly in their space planes. It's hot from all the way there down. I guess that's the heat dome.
Can we abolish the heat dome? It's a constitutional amendment.
You know what? I'm sure you could pass a resolution if you were to propose one on the floor. It might be one of the few things that our legislatures might actually agree on right now.
They wouldn't agree on it, but they'd at least hold a bunch of hearings and posture for the cameras for a couple of weeks
and hold up photos and video of Hunter Biden getting a blowjob and say this is what's contributing to the heat wave. This is why it's so hot around here. It's because of this guy. His laptop is overheating.
I have never been more disgusted with our political leaders.
The thing is, though, is that Republican, Democrat, whatever it is, even Libertarian, Green Party, whatever, everyone would agree is hot. The problem is the why and the how. That's where everyone draws lines in the sand. Me, for one, I'm just going to wait for Jason Aldean to tell me what it's like in a small town as far as hot and cold, and then I'll form an opinion. So I don't miss the oppressive heat of Texas and the heat dome, but I will say this: I don't miss all the shootings in where I live now. Keep in mind, shootings still happen. It's just not as many.
Well, there's not as many people down there.
All right, yeah, I guess it could be just a pure percentage thing. But the sheer volume feels less. I live on an island with roughly 50,000 people as opposed to 5 million. So, yeah, I guess, it might just be a perceived thing versus, actual math.
Speaking of shootings, have you heard the news about Aqib Talib's brother? And I'm going to screw up the pronunciation of his name, I'm sure, but it's spelled Yaqub, I believe. So I'm going to call him Yaqub.
It sounds better than Jakob.
Yeah, I mean, I truly have no idea how to pronounce it, so I'm just giving it my best shot.
Was this the guy that shot and killed another football coach at a kid's football game?
Yes, in front of all the kids and the parents, and his brother was there.
Yeah, I remember that story. I think it was it like 2 years ago that had happened in Dallas?
I think it was only a year ago.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not. Yeah, it's fairly recent. But Aqib Talib, for people who don't know, was a very good cornerback in the NFL for many years. And anyway, his brother shot and killed another coach at this youth football event. I would say allegedly, but I think he's already pled and been convicted.
Oh, is that the new information about the story?
Yeah, I read that he's taken a plea deal, so I've got to believe that means he's pled. He's going to be sentenced next month, I think August 7th. So, yeah, he took a deal for 37 years.
Jesus, that was the plea?
Well, I mean, on murder, there's a halftime requirement, which means he's eligible for parole in 18 and a half years. I think he's 39. So, 57, 58. He'll be out.
What? That's not bad. For killing a guy, he'll be out in less time than a previous show member.
Yes.
And Aqib Talib, like he I believe he was implicated in some of this, but he's gonna skate.
Oh, totally. Although I think he did lose his ESPN gig, or he was a commentator on some major network and he backed away from.
I think he was on Fox. Yeah, he actually was a fairly promising young commentator, but
what?
He's entertaining as hell. If
I don't care. I don't care if his brother shot and killed somebody. He should be able to keep his job. If Fox is willing to employ anything having to do with Skip Bayless, why do you care if one of your talent pieces brother killed a guy?
I think he was the one that chose to back away, if I remember the story correctly. At least that's what was reported at the time.
Then I guess that would make sense, because Fox doesn't seem to have a whole lot of standards when it comes to certain things like that. And I say that purely based on the Skip Bayless employment.
Yeah, but I think there's one thing if you're, turning into whatever the crap is that Bayless is on now on FS1 versus,
Big Fox.
Yeah, Big Fox in the NFL booth. And I'm sure the NFL probably is like, let's let this one play out a little bit before, you put him back in there. I mean, he'll probably get another job. He was actually pretty good. And he literally, if you ever hear an interview with Aqib Talib, he talks about how, I think it was his grandmother, his uncle hit his mom or something. I forgot, but basically his grandmother shot his uncle and the uncle apologized.
Wow. So she must have gotten her same gun training at the place where Dick Cheney got his.
Uh-huh. No, I think she meant to shoot. He literally, they call. I remember because it's one of those. Called her Big Mama and said, "Big Mama," pulled out a gun and just popped his ass. Said, "Don't do it."
Well, we don't know the guy that I forget who it was that Dick Cheney shot in the face, but we don't know that guy may have called Dick Cheney Big Mama. I mean, if you're going to get shot in the face by the vice president, it'll probably be in response to being called Vice President Big Mama.
And he probably apologized for getting in the way of Cheney's gun. So yeah, you might be right.
He did. Do you not remember that?
Yeah.
No, the guy that Dick Cheney shot in the face later apologized to Dick Cheney for causing such a ruckus. I'm sorry, I stuck my face in front of your bird shot.
What owe you for the bullet?
Cheney's just like, you can Venmo me. Oh God. It is amazing though, because with Aqib Talib, like you said, Everett is a very accomplished, defensive player in the NFL on the field, but he was also pretty accomplished off the field as far as legal run-ins. I mean, honestly, when the story happened in Dallas that, you saw the headline, something about Aqib Talib and his shooting, everyone just assumed it was Aqib Talib that did it.
Yeah, I mean, he was never charged. I from what I remember, there was quite the altercation, but Yaqub was the only one to actually pull out a gun.
That's got to be difficult names to say, because the name's kind of like, you're used to saying Aqib Talib and it rhymes. Like, I want to say Yaqib Talib, but instead it's Yaqub Talib. But it makes me want to say Yaqub Talib.
Well, you can say that. He's in jail.
Yeah,
or will be.
You don't think he's going to come get me? What about Big Mama? She might come get me if I say his name wrong.
Well, that's true. You always got to worry about Big Mama.
Sounds like you got to worry about the whole damn family. Are there any other so you said he did a plea deal, and since it's a state thing, you do halftime on that, you said, as opposed to federal stuff. What's the federal thing now? Is it 85%, 90% of your sentence before you're eligible for parole?
Yeah, I think it's roughly 80%, and it's not parole per se, but I mean, it might as well be. You get good time credit for certain types of programming, and I think basically for just being there for the most part, not causing too much trouble. They end up knocking about 20% off your time.
Gotcha.
People were up in arms. I don't know if you saw, there was a story a couple of weeks back. Elizabeth Holmes' sentence drastically reduced. Well, the Bureau of Prisons posted her release date, which was, I don't know, a year and a half or so less than her sentence. And that's just standard. She's not getting any kind of special treatment. That's true with her, a couple of former show members.
I don't know if you can see the snot. Oh, there's kind of shot out of my nose right there. So what's more likely to happen? Getting some time off your federal sentence for good behavior, or an owl showing up in your backyard?
Oh, that's an easy one, since owls no longer exist. We went through this last time. Owls are extinct.
Are they extinct in general, or just extinct from your backyard?
They are extinct. They no longer exist. They have ceased to be. Collectively.
You're just
I
bitter.
asked Trey before the show, because he was mouthing off about owls, and I said, when was the last time you saw one? He said, oh, personally? Yeah, personally.
Yeah, but I don't look for owls. I don't have an owl house.
It wouldn't do you any good.
I feel like if I did have an owl house, that they would come and visit.
That's what I thought too. It's a scam perpetrated by the owl house industry.
But here's Everett with his owl house in his backyard and no owls, so therefore it must be that all owls are extinct. So what we need to do then, Trey, is you and I need to go put up owl houses in our yards and just test it.
Well, yeah. Good luck.
How mad would Everett be if all of a sudden we had families of owls in our owl house?
You know what sucks too is in my neighborhood, the neighbors have taken to putting up speakers in their trees. I haven't actually seen the speakers, but I can hear the owl sounds coming from some of the neighbors' trees when I go on my walks in the evenings. And I think, that's just uncool.
So your neighbors are just trolling you with owl sounds?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got to be, because there are no owls.
I was about to say, is this just your self-delusion and you're bitter that there are owls all around you, but they just don't like your house?
I haven't seen a single one, Trey.
But you've heard them.
I hear owl sounds that have to be coming from speakers because owls no longer exist. You need to follow along.
I think what you need to do, Everett, is you need to go on Nextdoor to make sure that there's not some sort of neighborhood conspiracy. As you go walking down the street, everyone is playing owl sounds because they know you are on the hunt. So make sure your neighbors aren't just jacking with you.
Oh, they're jacking with me. I don't. And if I go on Nextdoor, they're all just going to have some sense of satisfaction that, oh yeah, we're messing with his mind. I'm not going to give them the pleasure.
So you just would rather just believe that there's a great conspiracy to keep owls away from you?
There's no need to keep owls away from me, Trey. They don't exist.
See, Trey, it's a lot easier to skip over the conspiracy theory and land somewhere in the realm of reality that a species is extinct.
Dan, when was the last time you saw an owl?
Yesterday?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I have a poor memory, Everett.
You're listening to The Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
This segment of the Treehouse is brought to you by Brooks Plumbing. The phone number 214-368-3838. That is 214-368-3838. The website, brooksplumbingtexas.com. So if the unimaginable happened and you had that meteorite crash through your roof into your bathroom, destroying your bathroom, Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration will fix the roof and will actually help you redo the bathroom, but you're going to need plumbing work. That plumbing can and should be done by our friends at Brooks Plumbing, 214-368-3838 for any and all of your plumbing wants and needs. brooksplumbingtexas.com. Everett, I know you got to get out of the treehouse pretty soon. You have like a major law appointment or something. You got to go to court.
I have an appointment. It's with my phrenologist.
Phrenologist?
Yes.
Is that like a doctor for your frenulum?
No, it's basically a professional, a doctor, as it were, who determines your mental traits by examining the bumps on your head, where they're located and their size and so forth.
So it is a doctor for your frenulum.
Well,
You said head. Oh, you mean like actual cranium head, not like
yes.
not the sweet soft spot on the underside of our penises.
No, that's another specialty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Trey and I both smile, big eyebrows. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. See, this is the second time in less than like a week that edging has been brought up on the show. All right. So what is it? You're going to a doctor that is going to check your head?
Well, yeah, they, as I say, determine certain mental characteristics that you may have based on the bumps on your head, their location and size and how they're clustered together.
Tell us you have too much free time on your hands without telling us you have too much free time on your hands.
Well, I think it's important to get a full measure of your health at any age, certainly. But as you get older, it's, you want to make sure that everything's in order. And I think phrenology for me is the next logical step. He's actually a veterinary phrenologist. But he did such good work with my dogs that I thought I'd give it a try. He offered, and I thought, well, why not?
So you Everett have an appointment with a veterinarian
To examine you.
Phrenologist, yes.
How do you spell that?
PHRENOLOGIST.
Oh, actually, I'm surprised it popped up. Phrenology, the detailed study of the shape and size of the cranium as a supposed indication of character and mental abilities. Everett,
Only other time I've ever heard that word. It's a 80s movie with Charlie Sheen and Emilio, the brothers Estevez.
Men at Work?
Men at Work, if you remember.
Yeah. Oh my God, today's a great day. You dropped in a Men at Work reference. I love that movie. God, I love that movie.
But Everett, here's my question for you. Is this something you're doing like for him to examine you, or is this some other, like, are you going to be a phrenology apprentice and along with your blacksmithing and owl house building and
don't forget about the falconry.
Falconry, yes.
Well, I've considered that, and that actually, being examined by a phrenologist is actually the first step toward becoming educated as one, to see if it's something that you like. You need to have experience with it as a patient. So, I'm considering it, but
Isn't that the same sort of mentality that the guy had as the head of Men's Warehouse? It's like, not only am I the president, but I'm also a client.
Well, it could be. And, I'm not sure what his views on phrenology were, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if he were an enthusiast.
And here's my next question. What was going on with your dog that you took your dog to a phrenologist?
Ooh, yeah, good question.
Well, it's important, with dogs to figure out what their traits are going to be. What can you expect from a puppy when you bring it home or are contemplating bringing it home? And taking your dog to a veterinary phrenologist is the perfect solution.
So what did the dog phrenologist tell you? I'm assuming you're talking about Gladys, your newer addition to the family, the Basset Hound.
Yes.
So what did the dog phrenologist tell you about Gladys's puppy dome?
Well, he said that she would likely be a dog that follows her nose a lot, that sniffs a lot. And he was right. I mean, He was spot on. So that's really in part what impressed me to think, maybe I should take the next logical step here.
So he told you that about a hound dog puppy. Did he tell you that, you might get a shoe torn up and a carpet peed on?
How'd you know that?
Hey Trey, you remember the good old days when we thought Everett was the smartest of us all?
Behold Frodo.
So what is it, Everett, that you're expecting the dog phrenologist to find on your head?
Well, bumps, that are going to That's right. Yuck it up. But this is serious business.
I'm sorry.
Did he also tell you that, there would be your dog would have an eternal lifelong battle with squirrels?
How'd you know that?
I've had a basset hound.
It sounds like you've had a phrenologist.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I think you probably did. You take your dog to a phrenologist?
I think what Trey did is Trey had his dog called Miss Cleo of phrenology.
Yeah. This is Dionne Warwick Psychic Friends Network.
Mm-hmm.
Phrenology.
That's part of the
Friends
network. So if you wanted human, regular stuff, you'd hit 1. But then if you needed the dog, phrenology stuff, you hit 2, and that got you like LaToya Jackson instead of Dionne Warwick or something.
Phrenology has been around for, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years. So I think it's important.
Is there a specific concern that you're wanting the dog phrenologist to address or to investigate on your head?
Well, I want him to find out if I have a proclivity to bark. What better source than a veterinary phrenologist? And sometimes in my sleep, I'll, I'll wake up and kind of make these sounds that are reminiscent of dogs.
So does that mean then it's your girlfriend Cynthia that is pushing you to go see a specialist for your dog-like tendencies in your sleep?
How'd you know that?
Has there been concern because you've been trying to lick your balls?
Yeah, that's more a matter of that's a job for a chiropractor.
All right, I believe we've now crossed the line of stupid that I can yeah. I now have way too many visuals of Everett in my head that I'll never be able to erase. Wow. For all things Treehouse, go to treehouseonair.com. Follow us on social media at Treehouse On Air. For me, it's at the Dan O'Malley. For Trey, it's at Trey Trenholm1. For Everett, it's at Everett Newton, except on Instagram, it's at Everett Newton Attorney, which maybe at some point will have a new handle at Everett Newton Phrenology. But until that day, we'll see you next time in the Treehouse.
See ya.
Bye.
So stupid.